Number four, and this is advice for folks who are in college. Friendships matter. Building strong friendships matter a lot. Um, I think that oftentimes young people think, especially nowadays, that college is kind of some weird amateur play, and they just can't wait to get out. They can't wait to get into the real world. They don't want to be into this playground, this sandbox. But what I'll tell you is that you will never be around a group of smart, motivated people with as little to do as you are in college. And if you don't take that time to make good friendships, um, unfortunately, that means that when you do want to do a startup, you have less of an advantage. You have fewer people that you can call on to help you. And whether they're helping you with working for you, with being your co-founder, with introducing you to someone you know, or just giving you moral support, friendships matter. And so please, one of the things you probably don't realize you're paying for is that your college is putting together, is almost curating a group of smart, motivated people, and is surrounding you with them. If you're not making friends, you're not getting value out of college. Skills are important too. Certainly credentials and kind of going to a good school certainly can help you as well. But what I've seen in my experience going to Yale was that $120,000 to $150,000 was worth it because I met one friend, and his name was Justin Kahn. That's what made it worth it, not any of the other stuff. So friendships matter. All right, number five, ignore trends. As the startup world has gotten more popular, there are more people talking about it. There are more people tweeting about it. There are more people writing about it. There are more reporters who are interested in it. There are more young people who are talking about it. There are more investors talking. There's so much noise. And I think that sometimes young people believe that the way they should choose what problem to work on is they should consider what quote unquote experts are saying. And those experts are almost always either their friends, not experts at all, or investors who are also not experts at all. So I really want to encourage you to ignore the trend of the moment. I want to encourage you to ignore crypto in 2017 when everyone was excited about it. I want to encourage you to ignore remote work today when everyone's excited about it. I want you to ignore whatever the mega trend is, unless you know you're willing to work on that trend when it's no longer popular. If you're willing to work on remote 2 years from now, when offices start filling back up again and people start asking the question, is this remote thing really going to happen? If you're willing to work in crypto in 2012, when Brian Armstrong from Coinbase started working on crypto and everyone thought it was a joke. If you're willing to work on a problem when everyone thinks it's a bad idea, that's the true test. That's the true test, because you're not aiming for a moment in the next year or two. You're aiming for a moment that's 5 to 10 years down the road. And I can't tell you what's going to happen 5 to 10 years from now, but I can tell you that almost all of the investors, almost all of the experts, almost all of the reporters, and almost all of your friends have no idea what that world's going to be. And if you rely on them to figure out what that world's going to be, you're probably wrong. What's interesting is that in my experience, the people who understand that world best are customers, people who have a problem. And so ignore tech VC Twitter, ignore all this bullshit, ignore whatever the hot technology is today in your college, the ML, AI, whatever that bullshit. Focus on a problem that you're going to be excited to solve when everyone thinks it's not cool. And then you're going to be putting yourself in the best position to succeed. You should learn to optimize your life for satisfaction, not for money. Now that I'm in my late 30s, I have a lot of startup friends who are rich. I have a lot of startup friends who are rich enough that their kids are going to be no problem Their parents are completely paid for. Their life, they could never work again in their life and they'd be fine. And one of the things that I've noticed is that by and large, it does not affect their happiness. It does not affect their satisfaction. It does not affect their enjoyment of their own lives. This is something that popular news, popular media, the kind of general world doesn't teach you. Having more money doesn't make you happier. And so what I'll tell you is that there's a certain lifestyle, there's a certain set of problems that are individual to each person. There's a certain way of looking at the world that's individual to each person that will maximize their happiness and their satisfaction. Instead of purely seeking money, you should seek that. Because in the end of the day, in my experience, the people who are rich and not happy or satisfied end up living very self-destructive lives. They end up harming the people around them, not physically, but emotionally harming them. They end up having broken family lives. They end up having broken friendships. They end up being bitter. They end up being rich and bitter, which is so sad, right? In a world that has so many people who are striving just to get by. It's so sad that there are rich people who are kind of bitter about the world. Don't be one of those people. Rich or poor, if you're satisfied with your life, you're actually beating most people in the world. You're actually doing better than most of the people around you. So seek out things that actually maximize your satisfaction, your enjoyment of life. Don't seek out things that purely just make you money. And then finally, number 7, the last bonus one. The world that you live in is your responsibility. I'm sure someone's told you this before. The adults don't know what they're doing. And you're becoming the adults. There's no one who's going to solve the important problems in the world. There's no one coming to the rescue for the world. There aren't a cabal of people who know what they're doing, who's going to fix everything. If there's a problem out there that's not being fixed today, more likely than not, it's going to still be a problem 10, 20 years from now, unless you fix it. And so if you're a startup person, if you're comfortable getting punched in the face every day, if you're going to enjoy working in a problem, even if you don't make money, even if you don't succeed, take responsibility for the world you live in. You're broken in this weird way that allows you to make a massive impact in the world, or gives you a small chance of making a massive impact in the world and making the world a better place. Take responsibility and actually make the world better. I think that there are, unfortunately, a lot of people who've built successful companies who can't look at themselves in the mirror and really, for sure, believe that they're making the world a better place. There are a lot of people in the tech world who are making cigarette companies without really understanding it, and no one around them tells them that. Everyone around them tells them that they're doing a great job, they're making all this money, but really they're making cigarette companies. And so I'll tell you is that if you're broken enough to do a startup, take responsibility for making the world a better place, and don't make a cigarette company. You can always make money making the world a better place, but you'll never be proud. And in your heart of hearts, you'll know exactly what you did.